OpenClaw new update is insane. You're paying for AI tools you barely use. You're juggling 5 different apps just to talk to one assistant. Your data is sitting on someone else's server right now, and most people have no idea there's a better way to run AI. That stops today, because OpenClaw just dropped some serious updates, and if you're not paying attention, you're going to keep doing things the slow, expensive, messy way. Hey, I'm Hannah. I help people actually learn and use AI tools in their workflows. And today we're breaking down exactly what's new in OpenClaw, what it actually does, why it matters, and how to keep it up to date so you never fall behind again. And stick around because later in this video, I'm going to show you the update system that makes keeping OpenClaw current almost completely hands-off. That part alone will save you a lot of headaches. So first, what even is OpenClaw? Because if you haven't heard of it, you are not alone. This thing went from a weekend side project to over 215,000 GitHub stars in a matter of months. The creator, Peter Steinberger, hacked it together originally as something called WhatsApp Relay. It was a simple weekend build, and then it exploded. 2 million visitors in a single week at one point. The idea is simple but powerful. OpenClaw is an open-source AI assistant platform that runs on your machine, your laptop, your home server, your VPS, wherever you want it. Not on some company's cloud, not on someone else's servers, yours. And here's the part that most people miss. It works from the chat apps you already use every day. WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Chat, Signal, iMessage, and more. Over 10 messaging platforms are supported right now. So instead of opening a separate app every time you want to use AI, you just message your assistant the same way you'd message a friend. The AI is already in the apps you live in. Your machine, your rules. That's the whole philosophy. And that's what makes these recent updates so worth talking about. Now let's get into the updates, because February 2026 has been a big month for this project. 5 separate releases, over 50 bug fixes, and some genuinely important new features. Let's start with the one that matters most if you take security seriously. External Secrets Management just landed in version 2026.226. This is a full workflow built into the CLI. You can now audit your secrets, configure them, apply them, and reload them without ever exposing your API keys in plain config files. That might sound technical, but what it means practically is this. Your credentials are stored and handled properly. There's runtime snapshot activation. There's strict validation when you apply secrets. There's safer migration scrubbing. This is the kind of thing that separates a toy project from something you can actually trust with your real workflows. And speaking of security, OpenClaw 2026.2.23 added 34 security-related commits in a single release. 34, they added optional HTTP security headers including strict transport security for direct HTTPS deployments. They hardened the browser's SSRF policy. They added a skill and plugin code safety scanner. They also released machine-checkable security models on GitHub that you can verify yourself. The team has been very transparent about one thing. Prompt injection is still an industry-wide unsolved problem. They're not pretending otherwise, but they are doing more work than almost any other project to harden against it. Now here's something that I found really interesting when I was putting this together. The new ACP Threadbound agents in version 2026.2.26. This makes ACP agents first-class runtimes. In plain language, your AI agents can now be tied to specific conversation threads. They have proper lifecycle controls, startup reconciliation, cleanup. This is a huge deal if you run multiple agents or more complex automation setups. And along with that, there's a new agent routing CLI. You can now use OpenClaw Agents Bind and OpenClaw Agents Unbind to manage which agents are connected to which accounts and channels. This gives you way more control over how your setup is organized. Before this, routing was more rigid. Now it's flexible and configurable from the command line. That's actually where I had my own turning point with this stuff. When I first started digging into AI tools and automation, I was overwhelmed by how fast everything was moving. New updates every week, new features I didn't understand. That's when I found a community called AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 members all focused on learning AI together and sharing what actually works. It taught me which workflows save time versus which ones waste it. The community shares real use cases and practical implementations. If you're serious about using AI to improve your work and skills, check it out. Link in description. Okay, back to the updates. Model support in OpenClaw has expanded significantly. The project already supported Anthropic's Claude models, OpenAI, and others. Now they've added native support for Claude Opus 4.6, Kilo Gateway with full authentication and cache handling, Kimi K2.5, and Xiaomi MIMO V2 Flash. The Moonshot provider now also supports native video input, and web search has expanded to include the Moonshot Kimi provider with improved citation extraction. What this means is that OpenClaw is becoming a genuine multi-model hub. You're not locked into one AI provider. You can switch models per session, set failover models, and route around outages. That flexibility matters when you're building real workflows you depend on. And if you're worried about context costs getting out of control, they've improved per-agent parameter overrides for cache retention and bootstrap caching. This minimizes unnecessary prompt invalidations. In practice, that means less redundant API calls and more predictable usage. Let's talk channels because this is something that a lot of people ask about. The newest channel additions are Twitch and Google Chat. That brings the total supported platforms to well over 10. You now have WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Google Chat, Twitch, iMessage, Signal, Matrix, Line, Mattermost, Zalo, and more. And the web chat interface got an upgrade too. You can now send images through web chat the same way you'd send them in a messaging app. That consistency across platforms is something the team clearly cares about. For Telegram users specifically, there were fixes to polling stability, session model overrides for inline model selection, and reaction handling that now soft fails gracefully instead of crashing when there's a policy or emoji issue. Practical stuff. The kind of fixes that make daily use actually reliable. WhatsApp group policies also got attention in the latest releases, and the Android app got meaningful improvements including better permission handling during onboarding, improved voice playback in mic capture flow, and more reliable speech cancellation. Now, I want to talk about something that I think gets overlooked. The update system itself, because OpenClaw moves fast. We just went through a month with 5 releases. If you're not updating regularly, you're running an older version with unfixed bugs and without the latest security patches. That's a real problem. The good news is that OpenClaw has a really clean update CLI built in. You just run OpenClaw update, and it handles everything. It checks your current channel, pulls the latest version, runs the doctor check to verify everything is healthy, and restarts the gateway. One command. There are also 3 channels you can choose from. Stable for reliable production use, Beta if you want new features sooner with a bit more risk, Dev if you want to run the very latest code directly from the main branch and you're comfortable with that. You can check your current channel and version anytime with OpenClaw Update Status. And if you want to switch channels interactively, OpenClaw Update Wizard walks you through the whole thing. The doctor integration is a nice touch. After every update, OpenClaw runs a health check automatically to confirm everything is working. And if something isn't right, it tells you what to fix. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than most open source projects where you're left debugging on your own after an upgrade. If you want to get started, the install is one line. You curl the install script from openclaw.ai and run it. The docs at docs.openclaw.ai are solid. The Discord community is active, and the GitHub repo at github.com/openclaw is where you can follow along with every release and contribute if you want. So, what's next for OpenClaw? Based on what the team has said publicly, the roadmap is focused on gateway reliability, more model and provider support, continued security hardening, and adding polish across the interfaces. The maintainer, Peter Steinberger, has also said they're working on properly paying contributors. That's a good sign for a project you want to rely on long term. This is a project worth watching, and worth running if you want an AI setup you actually control. If you're looking to dive deeper into AI tools and actually implement them in your work, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 people learning how to use AI effectively. Everyone shares real experiences. What's working, what's not. Which tools are worth your time, which ones to skip. No hype, just solid information and practical guidance from people doing the work. It's helped me stay on top of updates and figure out how to actually apply them. Link in description if you want to check it out. And if you want the full process, SOPs, and 100+ AI use cases like this one, join the AI Success Lab. Links in the comments and description. You'll get all the video notes from there, plus access to our community of 46,000 members who are crushing it with AI. If this video helped you understand OpenClaw better, hit the like button, subscribe if you want more practical AI content, and drop a comment below if you're already using OpenClaw or thinking about setting it up. I read everyone. See you in the next one.